for our practice test. But before we do that, does anybody have a question you missed on a quiz or something that I turned back? Melissa?
Could you please do a problem?
Huh?
Could you please do a problem?
Yeah, what problem?
Number 2.
Tell me what the problem says.
Cos 3 pi over 2.
Okay, so cosine 3 pi over 2, that's her question. How do I find the cosine of 3 pi over 2? Well, probably the first thing you want to do is, what, Giovanni? Yeah, you want to find how many degrees this is, because you're going to end up drawing a picture. So 3 times 180 divided by 2 is 270. So we're finding the cosine of 270 degrees. Well, where is 270? It's straight down. 270 is on an axis, so it is straight down. Here, right? This is 270. And since it's on an axis, I can't make a triangle. So I'm going to have to make a circle. And the circle I'm going to make has a radius of 1, which means I know all of these points, but I really don't need to know this one for this problem. What would this point be? 0, -1. So x is 0 and y is -1. Now normally when somebody says to me find a cosine, I think adjacent over hypotenuse. That's what pops into my head. But that only works if you have a triangle. What's my definition, my fraction for cosine if I have a circle? X over r. So x over r will be 0 over 1, which is 0. So the cosine of 3 pi over 2 is 0. No Eli today?
Does it look like it?
Okay. All right, Melissa?
Thank you.
Anything else from one of the papers that I turned back? All right, let's get our practice test out, and let's pick up where we left off. We're almost done with it. We don't have much more to do. This is practice test number 1. We're going to draw a course of 118 degrees. Now, the thing I just drew, these were the labels. That's how I knew to put 270 down here. But if I am drawing a course of 118, I use different labels, don't I? What are the labels I use for that? These are the labels I use for that. Now, this will be the only question on the test where you use those labels, because all the rest of them we're drawing pictures of angles. Okay, so where's 118? 118 will be down here somewhere like this.
What number are you on?
We are on number 11 on practice test number 1. Okay? Practice test number 1,
Oh, this is our
number 11.
We got
Now, make sure when you draw it, you label that angle 118 degrees, but that's it. That problem is finished. Number 12, we're going to do the same problem twice. We're going to do it we're going to do it once exactly. That means without a calculator. And we're going to do it once with a calculator. Okay, now, the calculator one is easy. To put this in on my calculator, I just type exactly what it says. Sine second tangent 2 divided by 5. And the decimal is 0.3714. So there is the answer on the calculator. Sine second tangent 2/5. Now, who remembers how to do this by hand though, without a calculator? You draw a picture of that angle right there. That's an angle. This is an angle. Where do I draw this angle? Quadrant 1. Why? Because it's positive. I always draw it in quadrant 1 if it's positive. If it's negative, I'll tell you where to draw it, but otherwise you draw it in quadrant 1. Opposite over adjacent is 2/5. What's next? Pythagorean theorem. So 2 squared plus 5 squared is c squared. So 4 plus 25 is c squared. So c is root 29. Is that what you got? Now, that's a picture of the problem. That's the problem right there. There I drew it. Now, what do I want to know about it? I want to know its sine. So the sine of this angle is opposite over hypotenuse, which I'll rationalize and get 2 root 29 over 29. That is the exact answer. Exact means by hand. And then that was the answer we got on our calculator. Your test will not have 5 word problems on it. I had room for 5 on the practice, so I put 5, but your test will not have 5. But here we go, let's do all 5 and see what's happening. A squirrel on top of a tree. 76 feet tall. He's looking at a nut on the ground. Here's the squirrel looking at the nut. His angle of depression is 37.8. And what did we say about our angles of depression and elevation? We always put them right there, right? What do I want to know? Find the distance from the nut to the base of the tree. Would everybody agree that's X? I gotta read the question. From nut to base of tree. So then I pick a function, sine, cosine, or tangent. What do you think?
Tangent.
So tangent angle, always put the angle with the tangent. So tangent angle equals opposite over adjacent. So x tan 37.8 equals 76, and x equals 76 over tan 37.8. Did you get, round to the nearest 100, did you get 97.98 feet? All right, a seagull on top of a lighthouse. Here's the seagull on top of the lighthouse. He spots a fish in the water below. Gosh, these sound familiar. The gull is 78 feet above sea level, and he is 320 feet from the fish. Where does the 320 go?
Hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse. Seagull, fish, 320 feet apart. Find the angle of depression. Our angles, remember, in our word problems always go right there. Now when I draw some weird random triangle, I can put it wherever I want. But if I'm doing one of these triangles, one of these word problems, it always goes right there. All right, sine, cosine, or tangent. I heard a sine, I like that. Sine angle, so it's sine x equals opposite over hypotenuse. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How do I type this one in on my calculator? It's gotta be second sine. You guys, I've said it over and over, I'll say it again. When x is the angle, there's no algebra. Do not multiply, do not divide, do not do anything. Go straight to second sine. 78 over 320. 14.11 degrees. Unit on that's degrees. That's an angle. That's an angle. Don't say feet. That's an angle. Here's the airplane coming in for a landing at the airport. How far is the airplane from the airport? That's x. Where does that go? How far is the airplane from the airport? That's the hypotenuse. That's x right there. He is currently 6,543 feet above the ground. And the angle of depression is 23 degrees. Does that picture make sense to you? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine 23, always put the angle with the sine. Sine 23 equals 6,543 over x. Am I gonna second sign this one? No way, Jose. This x is not the angle. So you gotta do the math. Gotta multiply and divide and all that stuff. So x sine 23 equals 6,543. And x equals 6,543 over sine 23. It's gonna be a big number, yeah, 16,745.53 feet. Find the height of a flagpole that makes a shadow 31 feet long. Where does that go? 31 feet long on the shadow.
Bottom.
Bottom. Angle of elevation is 29 degrees. Sine, cosine, tangent.
Tangent.
Tangent. Tan 29 equals opposite over adjacent. So 31 tan 29. And you're done. You don't have to do anything else with that. Just type it in. 31 tan 29. 17.18 feet. Everybody okay with that? And then finally, last one, again, there will not be 5 of these on your test, probably 2 or 3. What is the angle of elevation of a man? Here's the man looking up at something, top of the building. What is the angle of elevation? The building is 84 feet tall, and the man is standing 1, 2, 3, 4 feet from the building. Where does that 1, 2, 3, 4 go? Bottom. so here we go, sine, cosine, or tangent. Tangent, so tan x, always put the angle with the or with the tangent. So x goes with the tangent. Tan x equals 84, 1, 2, 3, 4. What do I press? Second tangent. Do not multiply, do not divide, do not do anything, just second tangent. 84 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4. 3.89 degrees. All right, here we go, round 2. Do not dare act bored. This is exactly what's on your test. Let's nail it. Change into degrees, 7 pi over 10. How do we do that? Plug in 180, so 7 times 180 over 10. Simplify that any way you want. Basically, it's 18 times 7. 126. You get 126 degrees. Change 200 into radians. How do we do that?
Oh,
Pi over 180 equals x over 200. Set up a proportion. 180x equals 200 pi. When you divide, it looks like we're going to get x equal to the zeros cancel. And then we have 20 over 18, which is 10 over 9. Is that all right with everybody? All right, now we got the two-step problem. I cautioned you about this last week. I'll caution you about it again. When it says find the measure of the arc, that means this is what we're looking for right here. This is the arc. And we know our angle is 100 degrees and our radius is 8 feet. Our formula says arc length equals radius times radians. Now, basically what that means is you take the radius times the angle. But the angle has to be in radians. So I'm not going to take 100 times 8. That won't be right. I have to get 100 into radian form. Isn't that what I just did over here with 200? So I'm going to do exactly that same thing, step 1 of the problem. I'm going to say pi is to 180 as something is to 100. This is changing 100 degrees into radians. So what is that? 5 pi over 9? Now, is that the answer to my question? No. That is my angle. My angle is 5 pi over 9. My formula says take your radius times your angle, and that will always give you your arc length as long as your angle is in radians. $40 pi over 9 feet is the measure of that arc right there. And remember, our test looks just like this, right? You're going to have to do that on test day. Make sure you get both of those steps. Well, Well, the next one is like 6 steps, or 6 things. So who remembers how we start this one? We have to start it. Oh, let me write down the given. The sine is 2/5, they tell me that, which means the cosecant is 5/2. Easy points.
Make a triangle.
What does this mean? What does that mean? That's a little extra direction there. What does that mean? The angle is between 90 and 180, which means where will this picture be drawn? What's between 90 and 180? Right here, guys? So we're gonna draw our angle in quadrant 2, because it tells me that's where to put it. Now, what do I know about the angle? I know opposite is 2 and hypotenuse is 5. So in order to answer these questions, I need to find this. And how will I do that?
Pythagorean theorem.
And I'm going to be really careful with my Pythagorean theorem. I am not going to write 2 squared plus 5 squared equals x squared. I am not doing that. That is wrong. When you set up the Pythagorean theorem, the hypotenuse is the one that's over here by itself. So this is x squared plus 2 squared is 5 squared. Everybody got that? What happens if you get the wrong number here? What happens to every single one of these answers? Yeah, so let's pay attention. Let's do our Pythagorean theorem correctly. So x squared plus 4 is 25. So x squared equals 21. Did you get the square root of 21?
Negative.
Negative, very good. Did you pick up on that? It has to be negative because it's not in quadrant 1. As soon as you draw a picture and it is not in quadrant 1, you are going to have negative somewhere. All right, now I can do it. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Secant and cotangent are just the reciprocals. So the secant will be 5 over negative root 21. And cotangent will be negative root 21 over 2. Now that's just my first stab at it. I will be cleaning that up now. So let's see. This one has to become negative 2 root 21 over 21. Negative 5 root 21 over 21. And that's it. The rest of them are all good. Does anybody have a question about that? Everybody got all the steps in that one? All right. Cotangent, 300. Sine, negative 420. It might help you if you said right off the bat, before you did anything else, if you said, wait, I need a cotangent. Cotangent is going to be adjacent over opposite, right? That's what cotangent is. So now I'll draw my picture. Where am I going to put 300? Right here. There's my triangle. see my fingers making that angle right there? This finger is on 300, and this finger is on 360. So what's between them? How much is between them? 60. Am I in quadrant 1? No. So what's negative? Root 3. Remember, the hypotenuse is never negative, so never put a negative on the hypotenuse. Okay, here's your angle. I need adjacent over opposite. So 1 over negative root 3, or negative root 3 over 3. Does anyone have a question about that? Negative 420. First of all, what does negative mean? Negative means I'm going to be going this way. I'm going to be going this way. Here's 420. 420. 420 is more than once around, isn't it? How much more than once around is it? 60? 420 minus 360 is 60. So this thing goes all the way around and then an extra 60. Would you agree with that? So my triangle looks like this. Same as that one, actually. Coincidence. This time I want the sign opposite over hypotenuse is negative root 3 over 2. Now, does everybody understand, first of all, why negative 420 is down there in that quadrant? Do you understand why that angle is 60? And the rest of it's easy, just label it. This is going to be in quadrant 4. Remember, this notation right here says find an angle. So you're going to draw a picture of an angle in quadrant 4, and that's what you're looking for, that angle right there. What do we know about it? What do you know about that triangle?
70, 45, 45, 90.
It is, but it is. What do I know about the sides of my triangle? Opposite is negative 1, hypotenuse is root 2. So Jacob said this has got to be a 45-degree angle, is he right? So if you say the answer is 45, I'm marking it wrong. Because 45 is between 0 and 90, right? I need this thing to be down 45. So it's not positive 45, it's negative 45 degrees. Whatever answer you put down has to be in the right quadrant. 45 is not in the right quadrant. This one's in quadrant 2. So I draw my triangle in quadrant 2, which means whatever my angle is, it's going to be between 0 and 90, right? Okay. What do I know about my triangle?
Adjacent's -1.
Adjacent's -1 and hypotenuse is 2, which makes this side √3, which makes this angle how big? 60. It's across from the √3, so it's 60. But again, if you say 60, it's going to be marked wrong. Because 60 is over here. I need this angle that makes a 60. How big will that big brown angle be that makes a 60 right there?
120.
120. And how did you get 120?
180 minus 1.
minus 60, right? So the answer to the question is 120 degrees. All right, what do you want to do with these two?
7 times 180.
Yep, we need to change them into degrees so we know where to draw them. So 7 times 180 divided by 4, I think that's 315. Please do not put that down in the answer blank. Please, please, please. You're finding a tangent. You need opposite over adjacent. That's going to be the answer to the question. Whatever the opposite side over the adjacent side is. So I'll draw 315. Would you agree it's down here? Between 270 and 360?
Yeah.
So here come my fingers making an angle again. This finger's at 315. This one's at 360. How much is between 315 and 360? 45. Which means the sides of my triangle are 1, 1, √2. I'm not in quadrant 1, so something's negative. Not this. This opposite's negative. That's not negative. Ever. Opposite over adjacent. -1 over 1, so the answer is -1. That's the answer to the question. Not 315. All right, cosine 3 pi over 2.
Quadrant 2.
What
135 degrees.
is that?
I got it.
I think it's 270 actually. I think you did 3 pi over 4, Jacob.
Oh yeah, my bad.
All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go draw a circle because I know 270 is down here, right? Do you? If the radius is 1, what point is that down there? 0, -1. The radius is 1. We're going straight down 1 unit. 0, -1. How do I find cosine? What's my fraction? Don't say adjacent over hypotenuse. What is it when I don't have a circle or a triangle?
X over R.
X over R. So X over R will be 0 over 1, which is 0. Quadrant. Choices are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only one answer. Only one possible answer. Remember that this is just the fancy way of saying negative, less than 0. And this is just the fancy way of saying positive. So I'm here, 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 here. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, I know I'm not here. How do I know I'm not there? Cause that's negative. And is anything negative in quadrant 1? Nope. So now I gotta pick, it's trial and error. So just pick a quadrant, 2, 3, or 4. Which one do you wanna try? 4? Let's try 4. If I'm in quadrant 4, I know that's positive, and that's negative. Would you agree with that? So let's see if it works. Is cosine negative? Well, here's your angle. What's cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Is that negative? No. So it's not that quadrant. That quadrant doesn't work. All right, so we're gonna try 2 or 3. 2? So that's positive, that's negative. Here's your angle. Cosine. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Is that negative? Adjacent over hypotenuse, negative? Okay, so that works. Now cosecant has to be positive. What's cosecant? Hypotenuse over opposite. Will that be positive?
Yeah.
Hypotenuse over opposite, Giovanni? Yep. So what does that mean? The answer is quadrant 2. There's only one quadrant that's going to work. So as soon as you find one that makes both of the parts of the problem okay, that's your answer. You just keep working your way around. All right, now we're gonna do some sketches. I told you last time, these are 3-point problems. 1 point for the shape. So let's get the shape here. First one is negative tangent 1/2 x. So let's get the shape right. What do we know about the shape of a of a tangent? The shape of a tangent. Asymptote, squiggly line up through the origin, but not this one because it's upside down. So it's a squiggly line down through the origin. That is upside down of how it's supposed to be because of the negative. These labels are supposed to be negative 90 and 90. But we've divided them by 1/2. Boys and girls, that number divides. That number is 1/2. So it's 90 divided by 1/2. Well, 90 divided by 1/2 is 90 times 2. So the actual labels are negative 180 and 180. And it's the actual labels that go into your picture. Alright, so we get a point for the shape, we get a point for the labels, and then we get a point for amplitude and period. What's the amplitude of a tangent? None. Period. Distance from asymptote to asymptote, 360 degrees. All right, this one's a nice little sign. Keisha, do you want to sit up and open your eyes, please? Thank you. What's a sign shape?
Through the origin.
So it starts at the origin, has a hill, and then a valley. There's the shape, 1 point for the shape. Now this one has more labels. We got them here and here. Remember, the top of the hill, the bottom of the valley, and where we cross. Those are our labels. How about these two? Do you know what these two are? 1 and -1, yep. That's what they are unless you change them, and we didn't change them. So the amplitude is 1. Now, these labels are supposed to be 91, 80, 270, 360. I'm putting these down below. I never put them up here, put them down below. What have I done this time to those labels? Divided by 3. So I'll have 30, 60, 90, and 120. So my period is 120 degrees. You guys, I think that's easy. All right, here we go. What's the shape of a cosine? So it starts at the top, does half a hill, and then a valley, and then the other half of the hill, right? There's the shape. Now, what about these labels right here, the vertical labels here? What were they going to be in this case?
5 and -5.
5 and -5. Our amplitude is 5. Just like with the sine, we know that our horizontal labels were originally 0, 90, 180, 270, 360 right off the circle. But what's happened to them this time? Divided by 4. Divided by 4. $22.5. Now we talked about this the other day. You can keep dividing these if you want, or you can just start adding 22.5. It's whatever's easiest for you. So this is going to be 45, 67 and a half, and 90. So the period is 90 degrees. So whatever's easiest for you. You can literally do the division. That will always work. You can also just keep adding this number. That will always work, if that's easier for you. All right, now we're back to our calculator. Anybody have any question about the graphs? All right, let's get a little of this done. Let's see. Convert to degrees, minutes, seconds. This problem, there's no work. You know how to do it or you don't. Type 287.175. Second apps DMS equals 287 degrees, 10 minutes, 30 seconds. Is that what you got?
Yep.
That's all there is to it, folks. That's it. Now, these next ones are a little bit, well, most of them are pretty easy. But what do you have to pay attention to? We have A, B, and C, D, E, and F. What do we have to pay close attention to as we're doing them? Yeah, we're going to do the degree ones first. So we're not going to do A. It does not have a degree mark. We're going to do B. We're not going to do C. We're going to do D. We are not going to do E. So on my calculator, which is set in degrees, I'm going to do problem B. And how am I going to type problem B into my calculator?
1 divided by
Perfect. 1 divided by sine, 183, 21, 3. So 1 divided by sine, 183 second angle degrees, 21 second angle minutes, 3 alpha plus, right? Did you get for B negative 17.1087? Anybody else get that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not doing C, D. D, I can just type in tangent, 321 second angle degree, 58 second angle minutes, negative 0.7822. And how about F? How do I type in F? 1 divided by cosine. So 1 divided by cosine 23. 1.0864. Does anybody have an issue with those? Okay, so now we go to mode, change our calculator into radians, and then do the rest of them. So A is second tangent, 1.375, 0.9420. Cosine, 1.75. Negative 0.1782. I'm just kind of typing. Are y'all keeping up here? And then sine 18 second pi divided by 77. So we use our pi button, 0.6701. So 18, or excuse me, sine 18 second pi divided by 77. Now, look at the very next problem. Do you see a degree mark in number 10? Yeah, so what should I do right now before I forget? Switch it back to degrees. Remember, on the test, this section will have some radians. Everything else on the test needs to be done in degrees, okay? So for this section, we're gonna have to switch it to radians, but then we're gonna immediately switch it back. All right, we're gonna do problems 10 and 11, and then I think we'll be done for the day. So here we go, number 10. Find X. So pay attention to where X is, it's right here. So which function are you going to use? Tan.
Second tan.
Well, tan x equals 8/9, that's gonna be our setup. But on the calculator, because x is the angle, we're gonna do second tan.
41.63.
Oh, guess we didn't change back into degrees. I know, it's such a goofball. All right, second tangent. 8 divided by 9. 41.63. You okay with that? All right. Oh, here it is. What function?
Sine.
Sine 63 equals 12 over x. Does everybody see how this is opposite over hypotenuse? opposite over hypotenuse, you gotta pay attention to where x is. So x sine 63 equals 12, and x equals 12 divided by sine 63.
13.47.
13.47, yep. And we'll end where we started. We need a course of 310 degrees. Now this is a course, so we're going to use our compass. Where are you going to put 310 degrees?
Quadrant 2.
Right up here somewhere, right? And draw a big angle all the way around and say that is 310 degrees. All right. That's it for today. We have one more day of review, guys. So hopefully we get everything done next time. If not, you'll be